Es un gobierno para todas y para todos.
Oh my God.
Ahora las mujeres indígenas.
So can we quickly just check how many here are adolescent leaders so far? Because I see a few people named participants. So just would like to know if those who registered are here with us. Yeah.
Reciben apoyos para mejorar sus escuelas. La educación y la salud son derechos que se ofrecen de manera gratuita.
So, Pooja, I think the participants that you're seeing in the panelist box are the interpreters' accounts, but then there are a few speaker accounts.
En el mercado como mercancías para que pudiesen alcanzar la educación y la salud, los que tuviesen dinero para pagar atención médica, medicamentos o para pagar colegiaturas en escuelas particulares. La salud no son privilegios, son derechos de los pueblos. Millones de mujeres adultas reciben pensión.
Es cierto, perdón.
Pooja, do you want to start with a quick introduction to see who's in the room?
Yes, I think that would be really, really helpful. So if you could just like proceed the slide, we can still continue with the format. Yeah. So hello everyone, I am Pooja. I am the youth coordinator of Adolescent Girls Investment Plan. And this is day one for the Concurrent Space that we are exclusively planning for the adolescent leaders who are attending the Mexico Forum. So just before we begin, I think it would be really, really helpful for us to know who all are present in the room as active participants, especially those who are the adolescent leaders here, so and others supporting team as well. So if we could just quickly go in around and just mention our names and which organization we are associated with and our roles. So that would be really helpful. Thank you. So I can quickly pass so that we're utilizing the time. So I would pass to you, Georgia. Take the mic.
Solo, perdón, Mariana, ¿te puedes poner tu nombre en vez de speaker, por favor?
I think we can go ahead now. Georgia, do you want to share your introduction, please? Thank you.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Georgia Booth. I'm with Plan International based in the UK. Very happy to be here. Was there anything else, Nihal, or was that enough? And shall I nominate someone?
I think that would be helpful.
I will hand to Nihal.
Hi everyone, I'm Nihal Saeed. I'm the project officer for the Adolescent Girls Investment Plan. I'll hand over to Mariama.
Hello everyone, my name is Mariama Kabia and I'm manager for innovation and learning at Women Deliver. I'm really excited to be here. And I will pass it on to Ollie.
Hi everybody, I'm Ollie Trumbull, Civil Society Partnerships Manager from Plan International. Great to be here. And I will hand over to, who hasn't gone? Sylvain, can you hear us?
Oui, bonjour, je suis Sylvain. Obedi et je suis membre de Youth Task Force.
Do you want to go next, Johanna? Johanna?
Sorry, I'm listening to the president. I cannot believe. Hi, I'm Eugenia Lopez. I work for Girls Not Brides, and I'm very happy to be here. I nominate Teresa.
Hola, buen día. Soy Teresa. Represento acá a CIPE, mi organización, y bueno, formo parte de este grupo de trabajo.
Mariana, do you want to go next, please?
Hi, how are you? This is Mariana Pria. I am the coordinator of Advocacy in Save the Children. Really happy to be here. Sorry, Satoko.
Yes, hi everyone. This is Sadoko, a member of Generation Equality Youth Task Force, as well as a program coordinator at YWCA Japan. Very happy to be here today. And who hasn't spoken yet?
I think that's all. Just quickly checking the people named participant MV and participant. Are these the second accounts of the interpreters? Just give me a thumbs up if that's the case. Okay, it is. So I will just quickly call out the names of the adolescent leaders who were supposed to be here with us. And if you've joined us, please do let us know. If not, let's see. So I have on my list Maurice. Maurice, are you here by any chance yet?
Puja, I can tell you who is in the room. Will that work?
Yes, that would be helpful.
So we have Sabine Lerner.
Mm-hmm.
Wan Ching Cho.
Okay.
And Oindrila Ghosh.
Okay. Do we have Maurice, Virginia, or Emma, or Selin by any chance?
No, just these three.
Okay. So, hi, hello, Sabine, Ondrela, and Vanchin. I'm so sorry if I've pronounced your names incorrectly. Would you want to just quickly also introduce yourself? So before we start that, also just like two things. One, Nihal, could you switch the slide, please? Yes, if you haven't yet chosen your interpretation languages, please do so, and also rename yourselves. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, and before we start, just quickly some ground rules to ensure that all of us are having fun while we're safe. So let's just ensure that we respect each other's opinions while we're sharing. This is an interactive session, so we would really want to hear from you. And it would be really helpful if all of us can speak slower than we usually do, because that would be really helpful for the interpreters. It would also be helpful if we don't interrupt each other, keep our mics on mute while we're not speaking. And if there's anything that's making you feel unsafe or uncomfortable, there are two safeguarding focal points here, and you can reach out to them. So Georgia and Eugenia, you can reach out to both of these people via email. So just let's be mindful of these things. Next slide, please. Okay, so before we go on to the agenda, let's hear from you, Sebain, Andrela, and Vanching. Would you like to quickly just introduce yourself? Just your name, where you're calling from, which organization you're associated with.
Hello, everybody. I'm Wan Jing, and I'm the communications officer from the UN Liaison Office of Plan International. And I signed up to this program. I'm just very interested in your work, and then would like to learn more about our agenda and the advancement of our agenda at the Generation Equality Forum in Mexico. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, I'm Sabine. I'm from Girl Scouts of the United States, and I'm currently calling in from California. And I was curious, how do we change our name?
Sorry, Sabine, was your question, how do we change our name? Because I can already see your name displayed perfectly.
If I can come in, Pooja. Sabine,
Sure.
your name is already correct. So you're with the attendees. So it's displayed correctly. So you don't need to change it. So
This
all
is
the
being
attendees-
recorded, correct?
Yes.
Would someone be able to delete my last name from my name, because it won't let me change my name?
Okay. Well, yeah, I think it's changed now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just also to let you know that it's recorded, but it's not going to be broadcasted. Everything is recorded, but it's not going to be shared. I mean, it's okay that you remove your last name, but just for safety, that you are aware that it's not going to be public, no?
So shall I go next? So hi, I am Oindrila and I'm calling in from New Delhi, India. I'm a climate activist and intersectional feminist, and I'm currently working with Fridays for Future Delhi, although I am attending as an individual today. So I'm really excited to engage in dialogue and learn more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angela and Sabine, for sharing. So what we can do is seeing that we have, for various reasons, very few adolescent leaders join us here. And we had the whole session planned, but given that the group is really small right now, it would be really nice to hear from both of you, Sabine and Angela, as to what would be helpful for you as we, as the forum starts. So I will just quickly take you through the agenda and let you know what we had planned for the day. And both of you can share which section specifically would be interesting for you as active participants here today. So just like we've already done welcome and introduction, we've done some bits of ground rules. After this, we had planned that Satoko, our person here, would also like help the leaders here understand a little bit about the whole background and context of what this Generation Equality Forum is. So covering bits like Generation Equality Forum, where it's rooted, what are the action coalitions, what are the blueprints, right? So covering these aspects. And then we move on to talk about what is the program of today's day in the Mexico Forum, and what the entire day would look like today. And for us to also share the website link with you all, where you can see what's the program for the next 2 days as well in the Mexico Forum. Then we take a break. Then we specifically head to capacity building activity, which is a 45-minute section where we just, it's not like this is something new. We all have been doing some amount of this already, but just to exchange and discuss really what are the key things that can really help us craft, great advocacy messages. And given that the design of the forum is limited in some capacities, in ways in which we can engage with it. So I think having crisp, clear messages is something that would be our, so to say, a weapon to really get our messages across, right? So doing that, and then just taking some time to discuss what we will do in tomorrow's capacity building session and closing it at that point. So this is what we had planned for the day, but yeah, would be really happy to hear from both of you which sections you are specifically interested in.
Oh yeah,
Pooja, we have additional attendees that joined, and also in the panelists, we have 2 that are still their names are speaker. And we have the participants MV and Floor and SL. I'm not sure if they are
they're interpreters.
They're part of the interpreters. Okay. So yeah, we have more in the attendees.
Okay. So can the people named speaker please change their names so that we know who you are?
Emma, Carmina, and Marimar, please choose your translation channel. Por favor, escojan su canal de traducción. Tenemos traducción a inglés, francés y español.
Oui, bonsoir Eugénie, c'est bon. J'ai déjà choisi le canal, j'ai choisi le français.
Do we have a French translation?
There's another person named speaker. Could you please just change your name or if possible, switch on your video and let us know who you are? Sylvain. Thank you. Okay. So a couple of new people have joined us recently and we were just starting. So it would be really helpful if you can quickly introduce yourself. So I see Alma, who has joined us just now, and Mariamar. Do both of you want to quickly just introduce yourselves? And we'll begin the program then.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenos días a todas, a todos. Soy Alma Guerrero de México y bueno, trabajo en MEXFAM, en la Fundación Mexicana para la Planeación Familiar y formo parte de la coalición de autonomía corporal. Muchas gracias.
Salut.
Thank you, Alma.
Bonsoir.
Mariama, do you want to go next? Yeah.
Oui, bonsoir à tous. Je suis Mariama Colon. Je suis membre de l'association du Bénin.
Thank you. Emma and Celine, I see that you've joined us just now. Thank you for joining us. We were just beginning. Really happy to see you both here. And we were just sharing our introductions. So could you quickly just unmute yourself and share where you're calling from, which organization you're associated with, and then we'll begin the agenda for the day.
Of course.
Hello, oh, sorry.
Please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Emma, and I'm calling from Nebraska in the United States, and I'm a part of the Girl Scouts USA organization.
Hello, everyone. I'm Selin. I'm from Istanbul, Turkey. I'm a he for she advocate and a national gender youth activist. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Celine, and thank you, Emma. So I will just quickly take you through today's agenda, and we were just wanting to hear specifically from the adolescent speakers as to which section they would be specifically interested in, because it's a really, really small group today for many reasons. So you can see the agenda displayed on the screen, and we've already covered welcome and introduction and ground rules and ground rules to some extent. The next part is just talking a little bit about the background of Generation Equality Forum, what it is, what are the Action Coalition, what are the blueprints, and then heading to talk about what does the program for the Mexico Forum today, the entire day, looks like. then taking a little bit of break and heading to the capacity building exercise, where we just explore and discuss and exchange a little bit about what are the key things to ensure that we are creating effective advocacy messages. Yeah, and then just discussing what we are going to do in tomorrow's concurrent space and closing for the day. So specifically would want to hear from Emma, Celine, Sabine and Andrela, which section do you feel would be helpful for you right now?
Hi everyone, it's Sabine. Personally, I was most interested in the capacity building.
Thank you, Sabine.
Hi, I'm Oindrila, and I think even I'm personally interested in the capacity building activity.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Oindrila.
I'm interested in capacity building as well.
Thank you, Celine.
Hi, I'm Emma. I'm also interested in capacity building.
Awesome. That sounds great. Ollie, can you just see if it's possible to pin the 5 of us on the screen so that we can have like interactive discussion amongst ourselves, and like so that just the active participants are on the screen right now?
Sure.
Yeah. In the meanwhile, Nihal, could you proceed the slides to where we had the capacity building segment? So there's a lot that you would see that was there in the PPT, quite a lot actually. But I would send you the PPT in your email ID, so you will have this information with you as well. So don't worry about that at all. So next slide, please. So before we begin, this will probably seem like very basic, and given the backgrounds that I know of all the adolescent speakers here, you're pretty active and proactive in taking lead in, you know, just ensuring that your voices and the voices of the groups that you represent, which is adolescent and women and other identities that you hold, are heard in important spaces. So I'm pretty sure you must definitely you know, have experienced creating advocacy messages so far. The reason why we specifically brought, you know, that why we thought that capacity building on creating advocacy messages right now would be a good idea is because of COVID, Generation Equality Forum is, I think, the first conference which is entirely almost virtual, and we're still, you know, navigating how to really make these spaces effective. But given the limitations of virtual spaces, we are really not the participation spaces in a lot of the conferences and spaces and sessions that you will be attending will be limited to you know, just Q&A or chats more often than not, unless you have a speaker position. So given that reality where we are attending important spaces, where we are attending important discussions, but we only have the option to really participate in chat and Q&A, what do we do, right? How do we ensure that our messages get across in a manner which is bold, clear, crisp, and really cuts through all the different things that are happening on the chat, right? So I am pretty sure some of these elements you may already be familiar with, but just hold on and let me take you through what's there on the slide. And what we're going to do next is, this is not just like, this session is not designed to be just one way. We are actually going to practice, like have a small practice session where the 4 adolescent speakers here and we have some people to support us in creating those messages. We'll just try to create some, you know, 4 to 5 messages that all of us can actually actively use in the today and next 2 days during the forum. So this is just me sharing the basics and then you really getting down to creating the messages. So I hope that seems interesting to you. Let me know if you think that would work out for you. Just thumbs up or anything. Yeah. Thank you, Celine. Okay. Okay. Sabine, I see that your hand is raised up. Do you want to say something?
That was an accident, so sorry.
No worries. Awesome. So just very basics of how I also really, I was doing advocacy as well as a young leader for quite a lot of time, but it was only in one of the sessions where I learned what to really watch out for when creating advocacy messages, which I think you're already doing, but still let's really get down to it. So the first is really to think about what are you trying to communicate? What's the goal? What is the message that you want to let the other people know, right? And so when we think about the goal, sometimes it's really, really broad. So how do we make it more? And in our head, it feels that it's very clear. I understand what I want to communicate. But sometimes when we get down to really doing it, the person in front of us may not really receive it in exactly the same manner that we intended it to. And that happens for various reasons, especially in international contexts where we come from different cultural backgrounds, and our phrases are different, our cultural reference points are different. It usually happens that what we're trying to communicate doesn't come out that smoothly. May happen, may not be the case for you, but I definitely struggle with that. So when I think of crafting messages, something that has really, it's a very simple approach, smart approach that really, really helps us in, creating our messages in a manner that communicates all the key points. And the basic full form of smart approach is that it's an acronym. It stands for different things that you need to watch out for in your message. So S stands for specific. Just watch out whether your message is very, very specific in terms of whether it's calling for action, whether it's giving out a fact, whether it's asking people to think about something, right? So that's very, very specific. You're thinking through that. It's measurable. When we say it's measurable, usually if you're calling out for something, when we say advocacy messages, we are advocating for something, we are demanding something, we want attention on some specific issue, and we want to ensure that the change happens, right? So in our message, we wouldn't just state the problem, we would also ask for an action on the same, right? And that action can be something as broad as we want gender equality now, or something as specific as I want the 5 girls around me in my community to have access to free secondary education, right? That's very clear. 5 girls in my community, free secondary education, right? That's what I want. So making what's the measurability in that? That there are 5 girls, we're measuring it, right? And we are making it very specific what needs to happen with them or for them, right? And then achievable, like how are we ensuring that it's achievable? Like again, the same example, like we want gender equality, right? Can you also suggest on how do you think what specific activity you can do to make that achievable? So really making that clear. Is it relevant? By relevance, we mean that you may be, this is also related to the second part, the audience. So we have a person from climate activism here, right? So Angela, do you want to give an example of within the gender equality sphere, what would be a very specific message that you would want to ask for, and what would be really probably not directly relevant to something that you do? And if you don't have a response right now, that's totally fine, but I'm just like trying to also hear from you while we're discussing this.
Shall I just jot down the points and then speak?
Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, and we will hear from all of you, and then time bound. So by when do we want that specific call to action to happen, really, right? By like our advocacy messages, especially within the forum, if you're asking for something, it is very important that you put a timeline to it, like even if it's an estimated timeline, because otherwise it's very abstract and it's very open-ended. And given the estimated number of years that we will take to achieve gender equality, which is over a century estimation, I think we don't need open-ended timelines right now. So it will be really helpful if we can make our call to actions or advocacy messages time specific, if we demand it like that. So that's the first part around goal. The second is really diving deep into understanding who the audience is, right? And it's not just, okay, my audience is adolescents, right? Which adolescents? Where are they from, right? What are their needs? What are their issues? What changes do they specifically want, right? Or if I say that my audience is politicians in my community. It's not just any politician, right? Which specific politician, why that specific politician, right? How can they help me? And just really understanding the demographic that I'm trying to target. So for your advocacy messages, you may want to really understand who your audience is, where they're based, what age group they are in, what are the gender demographics like, what are they really passionate about? Are they like listening to a particular message that you're trying to get across? Is it something that they relate to? Right. So understanding that, what are their attitudes like? What are the things that can bring change about in their behavior, right? So and this can be done via various methods, just searching online, seeing all around you, talking to people in the sector that you're working in. That really helps to understand what helps to really change the behavior. And then media habits, like if I want to really post a picture of a great vacation that I have, I personally feel Instagram suits it better than Twitter, right? And if I want to really get my message across to, say, UN Women, right? There's something happening, I want their attention, or different UN organizations, I would use Twitter and tag them, right? It gets replicated faster, retweeted faster, they get notification faster, it's easier. So just like really also understanding the platform that you're using and whether that's relevant. Uh, Also a question that, is your audience even available on that particular platform and how much? So really understanding, okay, this is my message, which platform would really work out for my audience based on the understanding that I have for my audience. So that's one. And I think it would be really nice if you would like to share any experiences of any messages that really, any message that you put on any particular platform, social media platform specifically, that really worked out, or it didn't because something didn't match. So it would be nice to hear from your experience, if anyone has that right now. If not, that's totally fine. Just give me a heads up and we can move on. Oindrila, you've raised your hand, you want to share?
Yeah, so one of these experiences which I have is that during the pandemic, when I wasn't able to go out to talk to people, engage with them, so I used to put out a lot of social media posts, and one of them was how to compliment a woman, which said that do not call women compassionate, kind-hearted, and there were a lot of variety of reasons. So it was a really shocking matter to me that another classmate of mine, who also is a girl, replied that you cannot take objection to everything, which really shocked me. And I told her, see, the sideline, or actually the message behind this particular post, is that women are tagged to be compassionate, have that natural motherly instinct, and the motherhood and being, household duties like cooking and all are just enforced on them based on stereotypes. So that is why we should not call a woman compassionate, because it somewhere or the other forces stereotypical roles on them. And there was a huge argument about that, which actually became a very serious issue amongst us friends. So I had to take down that post because it was really involving people who were not supposed to be involved in that directly. So I think this was just one very small example, but I have faced it a lot during my entire activism.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Andrella. I think we've already all experienced that, where we've tried to, share a message with a particular intention, but we have kind of received a backlash on that because it wasn't taken in the same spirit, it wasn't taken in the same intention, right? So that is something that we all struggle with, especially with the limitation that we have on digital media. And that is why I think the smart really helps when you're trying to get a point across. And we can't always do it, but I think specifically where we're trying to reach out to broader audiences, this approach helps to a great extent. But I wouldn't say it would really, take away all our problems that we face on digital platforms, to be honest. And Celine here talks a lot about safety online, right? So I'm sure like Celine also has some experiences around that. And if anyone would want to share anything where you've tried to communicate something, it went really well or it didn't really go well, and just like probably picking one thing that you could have done from the slide to possibly make that a little different. I wouldn't say better or worse, but a little different now in the retrospect. So it will also be like a very brief mental job for us when we really think about creating advocacy messages. Again, if that's not possible, don't worry. This space is for you, and whatever you're comfortable with works. So anything at this point that you would want to share, Sabine, Emma?
I think I can jump in. Maybe not something I necessarily did, but something that went viral. So maybe you might have seen it during summer. I believe it was around August. There was a black and white challenge that was started in Turkey, actually. Women were posting black and white pictures of themselves and tagging other women to do the same thing. And that was actually started because our government tried to abolish from some aspects of the Istanbul Convention. And Istanbul Convention is about protecting women of all types, migrants, women, LGBTQIA plus community, women from that community, or women from rural areas, basically any women from any type of gender-based violence. And when we talk about violence, we are also including stalking, abusing, sexual harassment in any form. So it is a very important convention, of course, and our government tried to abolish from certain aspects of it, and Turkish women started posting pictures of themselves with a black and white filter on it. Black and white filter actually represents the femicides that were happening and featured on the media, because whenever a woman dies, we see their pictures with a black and white filter on the newspapers and on the media. So that was kind of representing that your picture can be the next. Which is a very important message, and we try to kind of raise awareness towards that. But we did it on Instagram, which went viral, and it was amazing. But at some point, it just became a popular kind of trend, and people started posting pictures of themselves with that filter without knowing actually what they were necessarily supporting. And it's just turned to, it became a, women supporting women movement, which is amazing. I of course support that as well, but it was about the femicides that were happening in Turkey. So I think it is a very good and concrete example of like how social media can be used as a powerful tool for raising awareness and taking action, but also how at some point things can get like the message behind can kind of fade away due to getting likes and being trendy, I would say.
Definitely, I think that's a great point. And yes, it did reach India. And yes, we did lose the original message that it was rooted in. Yes, we did. So that definitely happens. And I wouldn't say, and I wouldn't like really preach about smart here and ask you questions about how it could have been different. I wouldn't want to take away from the movement, but I think ultimately the responsibility comes down to really all of us, that what do we do with advocacy messages? That was also a very great advocacy campaign. And what are the responsibilities that we are holding, right, as supporters of those messages when we forward it? What are the responsibilities that we hold as individuals to ensure that the core of the message does not get lost, right? So that's just one thing that we can watch out for. But thank you so much for sharing, Celine. Okay, Emma and Sabine, do you want to share anything here? And a no is a fine answer as well.
I can share something really quick. So I live in a really small town in like Nebraska, and kind of building off what like other people have said, I have to be careful what I post and kind of like censor how much I post about feminism, because I live in such like a closed-minded, very small town. And so like when I'm on Instagram, I typically have to really think through what I post, or else like kids at my school will like really take it very personally, even if it's just like a small post about gender equality.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Yes. So anything else before we move forward to really like another element of the message?
I would just quickly would like to jump in because of what Emma said. Yeah, I would say it's same in Turkey. Girls should be, more careful about what they're posting. For example, boys are free to post a selfie when they're at the beach, but girls should be more careful because of the image that they could, create. So I just wanted to add that because I think it shows how much this actually these issues are so normalized in every culture almost, and it's very much in our lives, and the issues that we're facing are very similar, but we don't realize it.
Can I just add on another point?
Go ahead, Angela.
Yeah, although like I live in New Delhi, which is like the capital of the country, so people here are expected to be a lot more open-minded. But what I feel actually pulls down the feminism movement or any other movement is that people who might be associated or affected by it directly try to pull and police each other. Like if I'm posting something about feminism, if the other women or girls who are also been personally affected by it start explaining that why your post is wrong, why is this okay that the violence continues to is being continued or being forced on us. So I think that actually hampers or creates another glass ceiling in the entire activism movement, or the message which we are trying to actually send out to. So like patriarchy, I know everybody is affected by patriarchy, but the conditioning of the patriarchy is so strong that even if I talk about women specifically, even they are somewhere at the pallbearers of it.
Thank you so much. I think we share those experiences, all of us here. Yeah. So,
si tu permets, c'est Mariama. Ok, je voulais aussi partager un peu un truc. C'est la dernière fois, voilà, on a eu un Girl Talk au Bénin. Donc, après l'activité, on devait faire des publications et ça abordait aussi le féminisme, les droits et les stéréotypes et autres. Donc, quand on a fait la publication, à un moment donné, il y avait un soulèvement sur les réseaux sociaux contre l'image qu'on a publiée, mais on a compris en fin de compte que ce sont des gens qui s'attendaient pour nous attaquer parce qu'on abordait souvent le féminisme et tout ce qu'il y a autour sur les réseaux sociaux. Donc, j'ai compris aussi par là qu'on devrait parfois faire attention ou carrément nous attendre à ce que, tant que les gens ne comprennent pas ce qu'on défend, qu'ils s'attaquent à nous juste à partir des images que nous allons publier ou des contenus, voilà, pour désorienter tous ceux qui suivent la communication que nous faisons et le message que nous voulons passer.
Definitely, I think the role of the backlash is a very, very important one. How we understand it, how we expect it, how it defines to what extent and to what transparency we'll be able to convey our messages in. I think it's pretty core. And yeah, there are a lot of things to watch out for. So definitely thank you for raising that point, Mariama.
I think, Pooja, as well, part of us being here and part of us advocating for change is that we want to break the silence on these conversations. We want to engage people on feminism, educate them on feminism. I think one of the key threads that all of you have mentioned is that this backlash against feminist sort of posts on social media, people do not associate or they have a misunderstanding of what feminism means to them. And so this is part of hopefully the type of change that we want to see from generation equality, that feminism is normal. It's definitely okay, and it's needed to talk about it in public spaces and on social media, and that like this type of backlash we're not supposed to see. But all of you are doing brave work, really engaging in these discussions with your communities on the local level. It's definitely how we can start making change on these issues. Thanks, Pooja.
Thank you so much, Nihal. That's really helpful. Anyone else who would like to jump in quickly? And after this, what we're going to do is to really have a very brief practice session where we work together on creating some advocacy messages right here, right now, that we can use today, tomorrow, and the day after during the forum. So before that, would anyone else like to share anything specific, something that we should definitely watch out for? Just for record, these three, although these are very simple elements, something that we always watch out for, but this is taken from a particular source which is credited at the bottom of the screen. I will also share the entire PPT with the attendees here, and there are other important toolkits which are much more exhaustive, much more comprehensive, that you can utilize even for planning offline long-term or short-term advocacy projects in your community. So I will share that as well. Yeah, just FYI before we head to that part. So Eugenia, I see that you've raised your hand. Do you want to jump in?
No, I don't know if this is a good moment to share about the thematic. Sorry, can you hear me? The thematic panel of adolescents, or should we wait after the practice?
I didn't get that, Eugenia. Could you please repeat? I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Sorry, my headphones are dying. I was wondering if this is a good moment before the practice to just highlight the thematic panel of adolescents that is going to happen today, or should we wait until you come back from the practice?
Go ahead. That's totally fine. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Just wanted to tell you that we have been working very hard with adolescents to have a thematic panel during the formal program. Some of you are already aware and might even be participating. But the idea is that they're going to be, all the thematic panels are going to be duplicated. There's going to be one at 1 p.m., which is Mexico time. And then there's going to be another one at 10 p.m., also Mexico time. And it might be a good opportunity for you to highlight on the issues and priorities that you as an adolescent have. It's about activism, but we will be assessing what have been the main challenges, lessons learned, and all that. So please see it in the program, and you are more than invited to participate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eugenia. And I will ensure that I send the link to the participants here after this call. Yeah. Okay. So, and yeah, last but not the least, what do you specifically want your audience to do? So sometimes in our advocacy messages, the intent of what we are asking can be very different. Like I mentioned, it could be just to provoke a thought, just for them to be able to, start thinking about something, start paying attention to something, or really, do something, like take some specific action, which could be very specific. For example, for climate activism, very simple things like we've been taught this over and over again: switch off all the lights. Don't carry your bags when you're out for shopping. So something as specific as that, or something really, bigger than that, like ensuring that you celebrate Earth Hours more often, even when it's not the Earth Day. Do that more often. So like what are you trying to ask could be very different. So just like thinking really about what do we want the people to know, A, B, what do we want the people to feel. I think emotions play a really big role in really getting the message across and attracting attention in terms of converting them from, okay, I've read the message, to, okay, I've read the message, I relate to it, I think I should do something about it. So there's a line and relatability or emotional relevance is something that can really help that change happen. So and what do we want the people to do once they have start understanding, okay, this is something that I relate to, this is important, where can I start from? And a very simple example of that would be when we say that the planet is at really we are exploiting it too bad, we need to do something. And a lot of people, at least when I started my journey, a lot of people were like, okay, we get it, where do we start from? So making sustainable switches, right? So I used to list down things, one thing that they can do every day to really switch to a sustainable lifestyle. So really breaking it down for people so that it also reaches out to people who are new, who are just getting interested in what you're saying. And it's very simple and something that will also contribute in the long run to the issue that you're trying to get to, right? So just like really breaking down the action points for them, that really helps. So that's the message bit. Yeah, Celine, I see that you've raised your hand. Do you want to jump in?
Yeah, yes. I just wanted to add, also when we're creating messages, who are we trying to influence, right? I think we are like echoing, tokenizing is such a huge problem. For example, during CSW, we always talked about how we're not leaving anyone behind at CSW, but I just felt like it was an act, to be honest. Yes, there was tokenizing for sure. I was a speaker at so many events. I was a moderator at so many events, but why? Of course, it is such a pleasure and honor for me to be, speaker and moderator at those events. Yes, but why? Why? I cannot represent every single Turkish girl. I cannot represent the girls who are LGBTQIA plus community. I cannot represent migrant girls in Turkey. So yes, there was tokenizing, and I think we should highlight that in our messages and say we need you because of this and that. And also linking to what Emma said, because it applies to Turkey as well, conservative groups. I think our, especially in Turkey, our behavior towards conservative groups as feminists are wrong. It's more aggressive, I would say, and I know it applies to many countries, but we shouldn't be aggressive at all. But we should find a way to kind of also embrace that culture as well, if that makes sense, and kind of show why gender equality and feminism benefits us all, and why it's not against their culture or their beliefs, because gender equality really benefits us all, and we should be in solidarity. So instead of having that aggressive behavior towards the conservatives, our messages should be kind of embrace their culture and beliefs as well, if that makes sense. Hopefully it makes sense.
It does. Like to me, it definitely does, and we can hear from others if they want to add something here. Nihal, could you please switch the slide? I see that Oindrilla has raised her hand. Oindrilla, do you want to go?
Yeah, since Celine mentioned the CSW Youth Forum, so I was also there, and Celine, you were awesome that day, okay? So, yeah. So, what I realized that India being, this is just my personal observation too, that India being such a diverse country, we just had representations from upper caste people over there. If a caste system, I don't know how many of you know how it works in India, but in simple words, upper caste people have historically been the richer side of the population and have got the more benefits. But we did not have Dalits, Bahuchans, tribals in CSW session, which really bugged me because I had been speaking from a place of privilege, but those are the people who are actually been discriminated and are the marginalized community at whose cost the various injustices or climate change, their forests are being cut, their houses are being taken away. So unless and until we have their voices in the forum, how are we even deciding on resolutions and plan of actions? Secondly, I truly believe that every country needs to have their own forums, and those ideas together need to be represented at an international level. Calling everybody at an international level will not solve the issues, because we are ought to leave out groups who actually are, do not have access to good internet facilities, or other facilities, communications, which I don't think even I can mention over here. I might not even know about the issues they might be facing.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Oindrilla. Definitely resonate with these forums being more and more localized and bottom up. So definitely relate to that. Thank you so much. And right before we I think Celine mentioned it very clearly that the why needs to be very clear for yourself and for the people who you're trying to communicate to, and definitely more representation and figuring out how can be a part of that, as Andrea mentioned, is definitely certainly very important. So okay, so before no, not before, I think let's okay, some people have raised their hand. Let me see. Eugenia and Mariana. Mariana, you want to go first?
No, it's fine. Eugenia was first. She can go.
Pooja, just wondering if we want to give the floor first to those who have not been able to introduce themselves first, and I can wait until they introduce themselves to participate.
Yes, sounds good. Do you want to just highlight their names so that we know? Because I really can't see everyone on my screen right now.
Sorry. Yes. So you have been already promoted to the list. So please, Shaima and Olusola, could you please introduce yourself? Are you now able to speak? Olusola? Shaima, yes. Yes, go first. Thank you.
Okay, I am Shaima Bakhashwin from Yemen. I am the Communication and Information Officer at Improve Your Society organization. We are one of the organizations that focuses on advocacy and women. Nowadays, we are working on peace building by involving youth and women to build up peace and looking for supporting the society here in Yemen with the common and basic needs. You know that Yemen nowadays in a bad situation. It's because of the war crisis, and at the same time because of COVID. And there are many statistics that say that inform us that the situation getting worse. So my organization is taking these things in consider, and absolutely advocacy is one of the important things that we are working on. As you said also, that is the SDG 16. At the beginning, we faced many problems and many difficulties that the local authorities did not get involving with us or respond to our demands and calling. Also, the culture of the society, especially the countrysides, and they feel that the civil society is trying to trick them, or maybe changing the habits and the traditions of the society, but later on they discovered that we are working to help them, and they started cooperating with us. Nowadays we are working on 3 projects, and I can say that we have a good reflection, and we left a good impression on them. I'm so happy and glad to be with you from today, and I will work with you as one of the partners in the forum that will be established, and I will add our email and at the same time the links of the media, like the social medias, things like Facebook, Twitter and things, so you can get an idea about our work and projects that we are working on. At the same time, I am like welcoming, and it's our honor also to get a chance to learn from the others and get an idea what they are working in their countries. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shema, for sharing your work and about yourself with us. Olusola, do you want to quickly introduce yourself? Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm Olushola Olani, CEO Beryllus Pro Consultant. I'm a former deputy director in the mining industry in Nigeria. I'm a member of Women in Mining. Women in mining they're a bit marginalized. So our interest is to work to make women to be equal with the level of men in the mining industry. As we have all known, this has been worsened by the pandemic, but we are sure with more advocacy, with more collaboration between women, we are very sure that we'll get better results. Thank you.
Thank you, Olusola. And just one more person who has just joined us recently. Yande, do you want to quickly introduce yourself? And then I will just quickly let you know what we have discussed so far and we will proceed.
Sure, Pooja, thank you so much. My name is Yande Panda, and I'm the chairperson of Transform Education, which is a youth-led coalition that is transforming education for gender equality, as well as a girls' rights activist from Zambia. I'm super excited to be here, and thank you, Pooja, for allowing me to introduce myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Yande. So just to let you know, with you, we have Emma, Celine, Sabine and Oindrella, four more adolescent speakers here with us, and this is an interactive session. So we're also hearing from you while we're sharing what we had planned. So all the four speakers before you specifically shared that they would be interested in the capacity building session, and the capacity building session today was specifically around being able to create effective advocacy messages, and we were just discussing how Generation Equality Forum by design is limited in the ways in which participants can interact, which is just largely via question and answer or chat, unless you're a speaker at a particular session. So given that reality, how do we really craft our message? Nihal, could you take a slide before, can you just display that? And that would be like a snippet before. Yes. And we just discussed some key points and key elements on what would make a nice and effective advocacy message. But at the same time, I really recognize that everyone here has experience in that. So we were also hearing from other adolescent leaders as to what their experiences has been while creating advocacy messages, and what has worked and what hasn't, and what has their experience been so far. So we just did that, and you can see on the screen it's largely about really thinking through your goal, just really understanding your audience and ensuring that your message really makes it very specific as to what the demand of the advocacy message is, right? So we've just discussed that and the person experience. And now we want to proceed to just a little bit of practice on creating some sort of messages which are also usable, something that adolescent leaders can also use today and in the next 2 days while in the Mexico Forum. So just as a brief practice session. And we have skipped all the other parts because this was the segment that was specifically interesting for everyone here. And before we head to the practice session, Mariana, I am so sorry. I know that your hand was raised. Do you want to just quickly jump in now?
No worries. Thank you very much. I was just gonna comment on what Celine was saying and the others, but if you want to continue, then afterwards. Thank you very much, Celine, for your message. I completely agree with your frustration and your questioning, and I think that it's gonna hope in the panel it's gonna be a good opportunity to share that, because I think it's a very important part of the movement or the experience of the movement, how we open dialogues and how we actually listen to the other part, because otherwise, well, the message is just around the people who agree with it. So thank you very much for sharing it. I was just gonna say that it resonates in me, and I know that you're gonna speak in the panel, and whenever you want, you can bring it up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mariana. And just before we proceed, just highlighting that this is an interactive session and we're specifically trying to hear more from the adolescent speakers here. And they are Yande, Emma, Celine, Sabine, and Oindrella. So we're really happy to have you here just once again. So can we proceed to the next slide, please, Nihal? So given that all of the adolescent speakers who are here, I have had the opportunity to connect with some of you in different spaces, and I know that you all do brilliant work and are representing quite a diverse set of issues and advocating for same. So there are people who are in tech and innovation, tech and gender equality, who are really fighting for climate activism, who are fighting for women in leadership position, bodily autonomy, SRHR, and really wide range of issues. But because this is like a very brief practice session, I think one connecting strand specifically within the framework of the forum could be just to really think about how, just adolescent participation and leadership in Generation Equality Forum. And we did hear from Celine a while ago that CSW space to some extent did feel tokenizing. And it may so be the case with the forum as well, we don't know. But I think it would be really nice for the 5 of you to really, support each other, and we are here to support definitely, to really think of 2 to 3 messages, being realistic, that you can use and your peers can use today and the next 2 days in the forum. And I have just written some prompt questions on the screen that would help you just organizing your thoughts. I'm sure you have experienced a lot of panel and sessions which are related to Generation Equality Forum so far. So just out of your own experience, really thinking through answering any of the question on the screen, and let's start organizing our thought, your thoughts. I would support, I wouldn't say our, I am not an adolescent, just making it very clear. So would just help you doing that, and let's see what comes out of it. And again, like Celine mentioned, let's ensure that the why is very, very clear. Yeah. So I will just read out the question, and then let's just take 2 minutes to think through our experiences, and then we can start sharing specifically the 5 adolescent leaders. So just think about what has your experience been as an adolescent leader in the Generation Equality Forum related space so far. What changes you would specifically like to see in this process, specifically when it comes to adolescent participation and leadership? Why are these changes key to feminist agenda? So keeping our why very, very clear. And how can these changes be achieved? So being very specific about the activity that we would want to see be done, right? And who will need to work on these changes. So just really thinking about the what, why, when, where, who, and how, just like the basics. And let's see what we can do. Yandit, just for your information, I also shared that I do have a couple of very comprehensive toolkits that I found online, which seem very, very useful, that can be utilized even while you're planning your offline or online community-based projects, advocacy projects. And I will share them in the email with you all after the session. So, yeah. Any of the adolescent speakers are free to share right now, or just take 2 minutes to organize our thoughts.
I can jump in because I am one of the contributors at the what is called Young Feminist Manifesto. If you are aware, familiar with it, so I can share it. Oh, there's no chat, but I believe you can find it on the Youth Journey. And I would really encourage all of you to read it through, because we provided some really concrete recommendations. And I will be, Maria and I will be also sharing them tonight. So in my case, I would say as an adolescent leader in GEF-related space, unfortunately, not only as adolescent leader, but as young people in general, again, tokenizing. And there is unfortunately not a stigma, but a perception from many organizations that they think we will do anything that they want. Unfortunately, it's a big issue, I would say, because there are so many short deadlines. I think this is such an important topic that no one talks about, really. We are being given very short notices and short deadlines, and we're being expected to send everything perfectly by that deadline. And our work is being unpaid because we are adolescents and we are volunteers and activists. That's fine. But no, if we are being consultants, for example, no matter my age, if I'm an adolescent or not, I'm being a consultant. You know, I'm giving you my observations, my recommendations. So I'm sharing you my knowledge. So why being unpaid? It doesn't really make any sense. And I think it's related to our age as well, because we're young and we don't have the same work experience as adults have. So it's easier for them to shut us down, I would say, because we are young. I think that's a very important issue that we're facing, and burnout, and again, short deadlines, because we are trying to, as actors, we're trying to prove ourselves. So organizations think that since we're trying so hard to prove ourselves, then we're down for anything, which is not really true. And the power imbalance is real in that sense, I would say.
I just want to add on, because I was going to say something sort of similar about how I feel like many times when we do finally get the opportunity to, have that position where we can share what we think and that kind of stuff, I feel like many times, we're not taken seriously because, we're young, we're adolescent, yeah. And I feel like just because we're young doesn't mean we don't have experience and knowledge. I feel like many times people think that, you can only get experience with age, which is, well, yes, that is true. You get more and more experience, but, everyone on this call, we have a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge. And I also wanted to say that I totally agree. And I feel like many times we are set up to fail. And then they'll blame it on, saying we're just a young girl. And that's the reason why we fail. But it's actually because that we were, we weren't given enough time or, enough resources to do the job properly.
I was gonna say, like, building off of that, along with like not enough time or resources, balancing school life and activism is extremely hard. Like, the amount of school I have skipped this year just so I could attend events or speak at things it's quite a bit. And so trying to have that balance is, I think, the biggest struggle, at least for me as an adolescent leader.
I'm so sorry. I just really want to add on to what Emma was saying. I completely agree. And I feel like many times schools don't understand the importance of getting real life experience. I think that this is definitely an educational experience, and our school should be helping us learn more about this, and instead of sort of punishing us. And I just wanted to say I totally agree with you, Emma.
If I could also add, can I?
Definitely, yeah.
I totally resonate with everything that I've been saying, and Celine, I 100% agree with everything that she said. I think funding is such a huge problem when it comes to youth activism, especially girl activism. It's always young people need to do things for free, and we really can't be giving our experience and all the knowledge that we have for free. I don't think that's right. I think it's very important that paid activism is something that is brought into reality, and that young people are paid for their expertise. I also want to comment in terms of some of the experiences that I've faced within these spaces. I think one of the most prominent ones is usually whenever we're in a space where it's involving key decision making. A lot of times they'll bring young people in and it's going to be a stunt. So we want young people there because we want to do a big stunt, or we want young people there because we want their energy, but that's not what young people are. We're experts within our fields, and it's important that we're taken as that. I would also say one of the key challenges I've faced is, as Celine said, extreme tokenism. And so really just defining, what does youth activism look like? What is youth engagement? Is youth engagement just bringing young people to speak on panels, or is youth engagement really making sure that they're involved in the creation of these campaigns and the creation of these key messages that we want to say, and involving them within those processes? And I think that's very important. I think we understand generally that adults have their key expertise, and that we all have our key fields of expertise. Of course, I personally cannot create all these beautiful Google Docs and all these beautiful messages that we see, but I can be involved within the creation of these policy messages. And so it's very important that using the different genres that we have, the positives that we have as young people and as the older generation, we bring that together and we create this sort of new table that is breaking down this very oppressive system that has been gone through as young people for quite a bit of time. I remember during the CSW forum, one of the things that one of the speakers said is that we no longer just want an extension of a table. We can no longer just have one young person to 30 older people on a seat and then call that meaningful. That's not meaningful. It's kind of like young people are almost pitted up against the older generation. That's not a fair argument to debate. And so it's very important that even within these spaces, we have an accurate number of youth representation and not just one speaker to 40. That really doesn't make sense. I would also say another key challenge that I've seen within these key decision-making spaces is that they'll give young people this 3-minute slot after all this time that we've been waiting, after years and years where we've not been heard, and then you give us a 3-minute spot and say, speak about the issues of gender equality in education. That's not working. We cannot put 3 minutes of tens of years of experiences of girls and then expect us to give a powerful speech. That's not going to work. And so it's also very important that if you want us to meaningfully engage, give us the time to engage and to express ourselves and to give out all the data and statistics that we can do. That's what I would say.
Thank you so much, Celine, Sabine, Emma, and Yande for sharing your messages. Definitely a lot of things that we need to watch out for as we proceed. Just like, does anyone else want to share? Oindrella, do you want to share at this point? Anything? And I think Mushfika has joined us as well. Hello, Mushfika. Welcome to an interactive session where we're just having a lot of conversation and trying to do some practice for creating advocacy messages as well. Just before we proceed, do you just quickly want to introduce yourself? For your information, we have other adolescent speakers here, and this is specifically a space for adolescent speakers, and we have Yande, Emma, Celine, Sabine, and Oindrella with us. And thank you for joining us. Mushfika, you want to share your introduction quickly? Mushfika, can you hear us? Hello.
Hello, Pooja, are you able to hear me?
Sorry, am I audible?
Yes, am I audible to you?
Yes, yes. Do you want to share your introduction?
Yeah, sure. Hello everyone. Good evening, as it's evening here. I'm Mushfika Rahman Minchum. an 18-year-old girl. My pronunciations are she and hers. First of all, very much sorry for the background noise. We are celebrating some religious festivals here, and I'm outside of the city, so I'll be facing some internet connection problems, I think. Well, I have for the last 4 years, I have been working with Travelettes of Bangladesh, Bhraman Konna, where we inside Bangladesh are trying to empower women through traveling by helping them to see the countryside as well as to travel outside the country also. And beside it, I'm working with Nari Chokhe Bangladesh, or the Scooty Girl project, where 4 girls went to the 64 districts, went to the rural and ruralest parts of the area of the countryside, and talked about menstruation, self-defense, hygiene, and women empowerment. Additionally, we have included new few topics which is important in Bangladesh context, which was the liberation war and our freedom. Well, in a countryside where I am working, it's very much hard to work, because here in the ruralist areas, in the villages, we have some male dominating society and families like this, that they don't even allow girls to go to school after a certain period of time. Like for after 3 or 5 years, the girls are not even allowed to go outside of their home without any male or without their permission. They're not allowed to dress as they're not allowed to dress how they like, and they are not even allowed to follow their dreams. So I'm trying to work here to break all these boundaries and break all these stigmas, and trying to make some spaces so that we left no one behind, where in a country where we are having so much work on women empowerment, so that we don't leave anyone behind. We don't have any one of the girl even who cannot follow her dreams. I hope I was able to describe my words. Over to you, Pooja. Thank you.
Thank you so much for introducing yourself, Mushfiqa. We're really happy to have you here with us. Just to let you know, we just now heard what we're trying to do is the specific capacity building session that we had today was around creating effective advocacy messages. So we just went through. Mushfiqa, could you please mute yourself? Thank you. So we just went through some of the things that are very, very key when we talk about creating advocacy messages. And then we heard from the adolescent speakers here as to what their experience has been regarding the messages that they've put online. Did it work? Did it not work? And the messages that we're trying to create right now, the advocacy messages that we're trying to create right now, are specifically around adolescent leadership and participation in the Generation Equality Forum. So we heard from Yande, Sabine, Emma, Celine on what their experience has been in this space and what can work and what cannot, and what needs to change and who needs to do them. So we've just heard and tried to put them here on the Padlet. And I see that Oindrilla has raised her hand. Oindrilla, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I would also like to add on something which I have personally experienced, is that being a youth activist, we really do not have the capital, the power to actually always voice out our opinions or create campaigns. So we are forced to work with adults a lot of times. And a lot of times these adults may plagiarize our ideas, our articles we have written or various form of work which we have done, and put their names on it, and we do not have the power to actually claim that it is ours. We do not have an evidence regarding that. Also, there has been a lot of hijacking of words, and even when we are speaking to media, I have personally witnessed a lot of media hijacking by the adults, which actually create an image that it is the adults who are always advocating on various stuff and various social campaigns. So the youth of my age, who are supposed to actually engage with us, help us to not actually get that inspiration or the correct message that, you know what, the people from your age are the ones who have actually leading change, and you can also be a part of it. So there is a lack of motivation. Also, something which I have seen in even with myself, even in my circle of friends and activists, is that we as activists tend to compare each other with, various other activists, like he, they have achieved this and we still haven't achieved that. So it sort of creates a lot of mental pressure on us. So regular mental health counseling and group discussions would actually help in somewhere ease down this negative, or in some cases maybe positive too, this comparison factor amongst us.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Oindrila. And I'm really sorry for your experiences around adults and media people hijacking your lived experiences and your thoughts and opinions. That's truly unfortunate. And I have stronger words, but I'll just stop there. And I see that Mariana has raised her hand. Mariana, do you want to quickly share what do you want to? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Just very fast. Thank you very much, everyone, for sharing. And Yande, your message is very powerful and very important. And I completely agree and understand what you're saying. In this, Eugenia and everyone here know that in this process, even fighting for those 3 minutes is a challenge. So it's even more of what you say, like just to have those 3 minutes is a challenge. Now, I completely agree with you that what is next? What's the next part? And also about writing, like who has a narrative? And it is a fight that we have to, like continue pushing together, because the other forces are so strong and we haven't normalized hearing what adolescents, what girls, what youth has to say. So thank you very much, and we will make sure to expand this message. It's just an everyday fight, to who has a narrative and who are we listening to, and why aren't we listening to girls and adolescents that actually live a different situation. So thank you very much. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you so much, Mariana. Olusola, I see that your hand is raised up. Could you just be brief and quick in your message, please? Because we have 30 minutes left. Yes, thank you.
Okay, yes, I strongly support selling. I have worked with a lot of adolescents, most especially girls, and I discovered that to have development anywhere and everywhere, adolescents should be involved. In fact, from their very youthful age, because many of them are very brilliant with excellent ideas. They should not be brushed aside. Rather, they should be listened to attentively. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olusola. 100% agree with you and everyone else here. Yande, your hand is raised. Do you want to go next?
Yes, I just wanted to add just a short snippet, and thank you, Mariana. I completely agree. It's a struggle that we face every day, but we have to overcome. I wanted to say that I see that within youth activism, there is a hype almost for intergenerational dialogue. So there's a willingness. A lot of key decision-making spaces are willing to bring on young people now. They're willing to accept young people as being a part of the dialogue, but there's a huge lack of intergenerational action. We never hear about the accountability mechanisms that need to be put in place after young people are speaking at these events, or after young people have a space at the table. What really do we mean when we're talking about an intergenerational effort and response? And I think that's very important to define, especially when it comes to the Generation Equality Forum, because we don't just want it to be a one-off forum, a one-off event, and that's it, and that's how young people were involved, and then claim that young people were involved in the revolution. I think the revolution comes when we really put in the action in terms of the action coalitions and achieve our fight for gender equality.
Thank you so much, Yande, and thank you all the adolescent speakers for sharing your super important point. And very, very thankful that you so authentically and genuinely shared your lived experiences here with us and the struggles that you're having to face in this space. And And yeah, we're just trying to be stronger allies, and we have a lot of work to do to support you better. So definitely acknowledging that as well. So in terms of specifically the advocacy messages, we discussed a lot of things, but I will highlight two specifically here, which came out very, very clearly in terms of advocacy messages. I know that we don't really have a lot of time to convert these all, but I can also share this Padlet link with you after the meeting, so that in whichever spaces and sessions that you attend, you have a reference point from where you can pull out verbatims from what other adolescent speakers have shared here. So yeah, two messages that I would highlight is and different sorts completely. One is where Yande started with saying that what is youth engagement, and then asking a question as to, is youth engagement just having one person on the table, one person on the table, right? And if we look at that as an advocacy message, that can be really brilliantly used in terms of really provoking a thought and a response. So for example, if I am a person who has a lot of young people on my Facebook or Instagram for that matter, and I want to ensure to really hear from young people and other stakeholders who are a part of my network, to hear their stances on what youth engagement is, I can just post it like that, right? This question is designed in a manner where it will elicit a response from people, and just really expand on the definition of how we look at something like youth engagement, right? How are we looking at it from similar lenses, or are we looking at it from different lenses? Is there a gap in how young people are looking at it and how older, folks and leaders are looking at it? So just really, I think posting a question like that as an advocacy message, uh, this is not really an advocacy message, but it's a starting point to get to advocacy message. You ask a question, you get responses, you frame those responses together and create a brilliant advocacy message. So I think that can work out brilliantly. Another is where Celine shared that, what is the experience being an adolescent speaker, where they're being called on very, very short deadlines to do so much work, and still get a very short timeline to share what they want to share, and there's really no pay for that, right? So I think this very brilliantly covers the problem, which is that the problem is that there's a short deadline, and young people are being asked to do a lot and they're not being paid, and then this is what, and then who needs to do what to change it. And Celine mentioned that the organizations collaborating specifically with young people, they need to watch out and ensure that there is some form of resource support to young people, right? So I think this, and I think Celine also mentioned the why. She mentioned that there's a burnout when this happens, and there is no resource compensation for that, for their participation and contribution, which is immense in this entire forum, and even the ones before this, and definitely the ones after this. So I hope the ones after this are compensated and well paid, and we are not fighting the same fight. But definitely, so this particular advocacy message highlights the what, which is the problem, the why it's important, what impact it is having when we're not watching it out, and who needs to do what. I think who needs to do what is really, really important, because we often highlight the problem, and then in different spaces we say that there is not much time to really talk about whose responsibility it is to really change that. But I think that is where we have the gap. We already have so many documents, we already have so many spaces where we're talking about experiences, but now can we start framing the messages and framing the spaces to really highlight the accountability aspect? Who needs to do what, right? This is the problem I'm facing, this is the problem that my community and my peers are facing. Who will do what to change it? I think that needs to be, we need to start forefronting that much more strongly. And I think this message came up very clearly from Celine. And there are many different examples, and you can have this Padlet link after the meeting, and you will be able to see how you can craft this. But really, thank you so much for joining us. And I think I'm really, really feeling energized right now, hearing from all of you, and really all the best for your participation in the Mexico Forum. I am sure whichever space you enter and whatever you contribute, it's going to be stellar. So thank you so much. And I will just quickly try to proceed towards closure now, because we need to finish 15 minutes early so that the next session can, have the tech background ready. And before we head to that, Nihal, if you could put the closure PPT back up, and I see that Yande has her hand raised. So Yande, do you want to go while Nihal puts this share screen up? Okay, is it an
Sorry,
hand?
it's a legacy hand.
No worries. Nihal, do you want to present the closure? So just to share that tomorrow as well, we have a concurrent space. Specifically for the adolescent speakers, we want to ensure that the adolescent speakers who are attending the Mexico Forum, adolescent participants and leaders who are attending the Mexico Forum have a space exclusively for themselves where they can, without any hesitation, share very authentically. And what we are going to do tomorrow in our session is, again, like we will talk about how your experience has been of the Mexico Forum. If you want to do that, we will definitely hear from you what you want to do. But the capacity building activity that we have planned for tomorrow's session is around really thinking about what beyond the Mexico Forum, as Andrila highlighted, that this is an international forum and only a specific kind of people are able to participate in this. And what about so many others from the marginalized backgrounds who are not here? What about them, right? How do we include them? And therefore, these spaces need to be more localized. So what we are going to do tomorrow is to, again, I have found really brilliant toolkits online. So I will be using one of those and just very quickly explaining things that we can do to really start drafting our plans of community-based action, advocacy campaigns that we can work on after the Mexico Forum, because Mexico Forum is just one part of the larger generation equality process and even the larger entire feminist movement that we are all striving towards, right? So that is what we will do in tomorrow's capacity building session, and we have some activities planned before and after as well. So ensure that you attend, and if you have adolescent peers who are attending Mexico Forum, please ensure that they are able to attend it with you, because it will be really nice to listen from more adolescent leaders as well. And I think that is where I will stop. Just we have 5 to 7 minutes before we close. Anything from any of the adolescent speakers? Also, just like let us know if this space was helpful. Do you feel that just having an interactive session which is really lightweight is helping? And what do you think about the plan for tomorrow? And just anything else that you would want to share before we finally close. Thank you.
Pooja, can I add as well an organizational sort of comment? So,
sorry, go ahead, Nehal. Yeah.
Thank you. So just also to add on sort of the next steps, and part of it is taking on board some of those reflections that you've mentioned. As part of our work within the Adolescent Girls Investment Plan, we aim to do some advocacy post-Mexico that highlights the experiences of adolescent girl leaders in these spaces, and also as well give them a platform to really communicate their messages. We're planning a series of op-eds and blogs and so forth that to be co-authored by the adolescent leaders. So we will reach out to you after the forum. So as well, this could be one of those forward sort of looking or action forwards that you would consider as part of your own actions. And we're more than happy to support and lend the platform of the Adolescent Girls Investment Plan to you to really voice a lot of these issues that you've mentioned, and continue really bringing them to the spaces, because it's quite important and it's often very much missed. So yeah, we will reach out to you after the forum with specific suggestions, and we're happy to be involved with you on communicating these messages together.
Yes. And also just quickly for the adolescent speakers here specifically, and the youth speakers as well, AGIP has created a Facebook group specifically for people aged from 15 to 25, and this will go on till June end, which is when we have the Paris Forum. So any updates, any speaking opportunities, anything else that is relevant, any resources will be consistently posted there. So if you haven't joined it yet, please do. And I will also share that with you in the email after this call. So yes, now over to you. Any of the adolescent speakers, do you want to say something before we close? We have 5 minutes.
I just wanted to say thank you. I really enjoyed the conversation today, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Thank you, Sabine.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this Connect group as well. It feels like we were actually heard and it wasn't stressful at all. And it felt like our voices were finally being like really taken seriously in this platform.
Thank you so much, Emma.
I can jump in. I wanted to thank all of you so much for making this session possible. It's truly felt like a safe space and diverse space. And I'm so happy that we were able to talk about the things that we usually don't really talk about, that are very much brushed under the carpet in many, high-level dialogues. So it felt really amazing and inspiring and motivational to be able to share our observations and insights and key recommendations also. So I really wanted to thank you.
Thank you so much, Celine.
Just to jump off what Celine said and what everyone has said, thank you so much. I think the space was very diverse, and it's so great to hear how many young people relate to the fellow struggles of young activists all over. And so I think that was beautiful. And I think our willingness to be a part of the solution and demand for our voices to be heard is also as beautiful. I think I would like to end rather by saying, even as we're going over the Generation Equality Forum and within all these key spaces, it's very important that we continue to create very uncomfortable messages and create this destructive but very productive change.
Thank you so much, Yande.
Thank you so much for everything. That was a good session. I love the diversity, the adversity also that it is there. It was like, I don't know, I love it so much. And I think I will like take this message to my organization and to the head of the organization to tell him that, yeah, we can just have a base, a good foundation that we can build up on it and get interact with the international world and society, and at the same time also the youth. So we want our youth to learn from the other. We want them to hear from the other and to be heard also. Thank you.
Thank you, Shema. Oindrilla, Mushfika, do you want to say some closing words? We're closing in 3 minutes. Any other adolescent speaker that I've missed, please jump in and utilize the last 3 minutes, and we will meet tomorrow.
Yeah, so thank you so much. And I think it was really a diverse place, and I think all of us could speak without filters, without that formal engagement which we see in other forums. But here I could like personally speak without filters, and as Celine mentioned, like speak about experiences which basically we did not talk about. And I think listening to other fellow activists and social change makers experiences actually give us strength from within, that we are not alone. Like all of us are facing almost the same level of problems, and we can actually support each other. Also, I am looking forward to tomorrow's session. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Oindrilla. I'm really, really looking forward to have you all again tomorrow. And please do bring in your peers who are attending Mexico Forum. It would be really nice to expand this group and hear more diverse thoughts. I think with this, I see Mariama's hand is raised. Mariama, do you want to share this, whatever you have quickly, and then we will finally close for the day?
Oui, oui. Je voulais dire merci beaucoup, c'était très intéressant et on a appris beaucoup de choses qui vont servir même au-delà du forum. Et aussi merci à Céline, aux autres qui ont intervenu, c'était très intéressant. Voilà, et je suis tellement impatiente qu'on se retrouve demain aussi sur la section. À toi.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I will send the link if you haven't already registered. If you haven't already registered for tomorrow's concurrent session, please attend and bring your peers. And really, really thank you so much. And especially thanks a lot to Yande, Emma, Celine, Sabine, Oindrilla, and Mushfika for joining us. yes, and
Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you. See you tomorrow, everyone. Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, Pooja. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.